have downloaded the PowerPoint slides and you have it in class today. You did? Really? Even though you use that, you still want to print out? Oh, wow. Okay, that's called double reinforcement. Very good. Hope you read it, don't sell it. Read it, use it, yeah. Okay, so we talked about opportunity cost the other day. So again, can somebody define in your own words, explain in your own words, what exactly is opportunity cost? Anybody? Remember we asked the question, what is the opportunity cost of coming to today's class? And yes.
It's the
Maria.
money you could be making if you take another choice. Like
Okay.
another option, like if I decided to work instead of go to class, like I would be
Okay,
making money.
very good, very good. Something that you forego in order to do the activity at present, right now, okay? You could be robbing a bank, excuse me, you know, I know you wouldn't do that, but, you know, if you're a criminal, you say, that would be my opportunity cost, I could have gone some way to rob a bank, but instead I'm in this lousy class, you know? So that's the opportunity cost, and that's different for everybody. And I mentioned to you that the alternative activity is a singular term. It's only one activity and not all add up together. We talked about pitfall the other day. One of the pitfall that we talked about, gee, what happened? Yeah, this one. Yes, okay. So we talked about pitfall, there were like 4 of them. Shortcomings or disadvantages, misconception in economics. One of them was, we did that already in the earlier class, that was what matters most is the absolute value when you talk about saving. Not so much about percentages. Remember we did all that calculation? How many of you have calculated today? Okay, very good. We're on a good step. Keep bringing them. I will surprise you, you never know. Okay, so the second pitfall the first pitfall we were talking about, so it's the absolute values that count, not so much about the percentages. Because remember I did this example with Miss Kwam, yeah, and she picked the right one. She picked, was it $100 you picked?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry it's not real, but oh, I should use a real one someday, maybe like 10 and a 5, you know, and if you get it right, you got that $10. How about that? What a way to bless somebody, yeah. Okay, pitfall number 2 is about opportunity cost. So I'm going to give an example now. The key to using a concept of opportunity cost correctly lies in recognizing precisely, exactly, what taking a given action will prevent you from doing. So as Maria explained in her own words quite well, that's something that you could have done, but then, you know, you didn't, but you end up doing it right here. Wait a minute. Where's the example? Yeah, here's the example. So here's the example here. The question is asked. Listen to the question very carefully. Should you use your frequent flyer coupon to fly from Cedar Rapids to Fort Lauderdale for spring break? Hey, spring break is coming up. March 7 through 11. I know this is second class. We are already talking about spring break. Isn't that a little bit too early? Okay, how many of you know where Cedar Rapids is? What state? Yes, Tara.
Never mind, I thought you said something else.
It's from a state starts with I. Come on. Name the state.
Illinois?
Illinois, no.
Iowa.
Iowa is correct, yes. I used to have a class where I had to go through about 4 or 5 states before we hit Iowa. Because, you know, you got Idaho, you got Indiana, you got Illinois. So anyway, Iowa is the correct answer. What about Fort Lauderdale? What state is it in?
Florida.
Yes, everybody know where it is because that's where a lot of college students go for spring break. When you go there, what are some of the expenses? Tell me.
Food, lodging.
You gotta have food. What else?
Yes.
Gas, yes. You have to find a way to get there, correct? And when you get there, you want to have some sort of transportation, okay? Lodging, okay, you need to find a place to stay unless you decide to camp out. Bring your tents, then, well, they still have incurred some expenses. So now the question is asked about this frequent flyer ticket. Coupon, excuse me. So then we give you this assumptions. In economics, it's very common that we use assumptions. Okay, so everything that you analyze have to base on whatever assumptions we gave you. One of the assumptions is that the round trip airfare is $500 from Cedar Rapids to Fort Lauderdale, and it's equal to your frequent flyer coupon. Great, wonderful. What about the next one? Other costs equals $1,000. As we said, is food, there is lodging, gas. What else? Some student will say six-pack. I don't know why that's important, but they always say six-pack, you know. Some money to buy some souvenirs, maybe. Yeah, you know, you want to remember your day, and of course, some other expenses you have. So all those equal to 1,000 because it's not free. The most you're willing to pay for the Fort Lauderdale trip is $1,350. Okay, that $1,350. Remember we talked about benefit versus cost? That $1,350, the amount that you're willing to pay is considered as the benefit. Okay, be sure you write that down or understand that part. Because that's a demand curve right there, your willingness to pay. So that's not the cost, that's your benefit. So then we calculate the economic surplus. There are two calculations we'll make. How many of you remember what is economic surplus? How do we calculate it? Raise your hand if you want to. Yes, Daisha.
Benefit minus cost.
Yes, very good. You remember that. Okay, so is this, I don't want to erase this because we need that. So how about economic surplus equal to the benefit minus cost? So your benefit is $1,350, your cost is $1,000. If you don't have coupon, so it's $350, right? Oops, excuse me. If you don't have the coupon, this should be $1,500, sorry. This is $1,500 because if you do not have the coupon, you have to fork out that $500 round trip yourself. So $500 plus the $1,000 cost, so that's $1,500, right? Everybody get that? So your benefit minus cost if it is without coupon, because we do two calculations. Okay, so that will be how much? Somebody give me that number, please. Can you do math? You could use calculator if you want to. So what's that number? Sorry? Raise your hand if you want to give the answer. Quickly.
-150.
That should be very easy, right? I hope so. Yes? What is
Yes.
it?
-150.
Thank you. Say that.
No golf.
Sorry.
Okay, very
No
good.
golf.
Thank you. So this is without coupon. Case 1. Case 2 is with the coupon. Now, if you have the coupon, then you will take $1,350 because your benefit is the same. Your cost is only $1,000. So what's the difference here, anybody?
It's gonna be positive.
Plus $350, correct?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So now, we had said that in the past, if your economic surplus is positive, yes, you will go ahead and do the activity. What is this activity? Go to Fort Lauderdale. Okay, so now if it is negative, you say no. If you don't have coupon, you won't go. Looks like that's what it is. If you have coupon, you will go because it's positive. But did you see that word here? BUT at the end? But that means be careful, there's more because that 1,000 is in red. Okay, so we're gonna introduce opportunity cost next. So we say in cases where there is no opportunity cost, this would have been the correct answer, number 2 there. However, we're introducing opportunity cost. Now look at this. This is our opportunity cost. The alternate use for the frequent flyer coupon is to attend a wedding. Your cousin's wedding may be in Boston the week after the spring break. And the Boston airfare is $400. And coupon expires just after the wedding. So in other words, if you analyze this case, you will know that, okay, if you go to Boston, if your cousin calls you up and say, hello, I'm getting married, and you're going to be the best man. So you have to be there, you know, if you're the best man, right? I mean, you don't want to stood up your cousin, you know. So then you probably can't go to, so this is the opportunity cost. You're scratching your head now, like, should I go or should I not go? Should I go to spring break? Because if you use it for a spring break, then you have to fork out this $400 yourself. If not, forego. Forget about Fort Lauderdale. Go to your cousin's wedding, and you could still use that coupon, frequent flyer coupon for that, the Boston trip. Okay, so now we ask you this. Knowing this, should you use your coupon to fly to Fort Lauderdale for spring break? Now be very careful here. When you do the analysis, read the question very carefully. We're not asking you, should you go to Boston? Okay, so the decision making is not about going to Boston, but is about going to Fort Lauderdale. So now we got this additional information, and then we have the coupon, so we're going to say that the benefit is still the same, $1,350 regardless. Coupon, no coupon, wedding, no wedding, you know. So then if you recalculate it, then your cost becomes $1,400. Why? Because now we include this so-called opportunity cost. And the opportunity cost here is, somebody tell me, how much?
50.
Nope.
400.
Thank you. 400. Who says that? Raise your hand. Okay, very good. 400 is correct. Your opportunity cost is 400 because that's right here. So what you do is actually put the opportunity cost of 400 back into the equation. So 1350 minus, remember the 1,000 for the cost, and you have to also remember the minus of that 400 opportunity cost. So if you do that, you actually end up getting a negative number, negative 50 instead of the original 350. So in other words, if the opportunity cost is present, in this case about $400, cousin's weddings scenario, then the decision is not to go to Fort Lauderdale if you're given the set number. And let's look at the last question. I think you know the answer to that. What would you do if the coupon expires just after the spring break? That means this becomes irrelevant. Okay, because you know, this is the wedding is after the spring break, and so if it is just expired just after the spring break, then this is irrelevant. You have to buy a different ticket anyway. So then the answer would be to go. So it will be coming back to this scenario there, where it is 1,000. So what this example is telling you, this example should also be in your book. Why don't we look it up? Let's go for that beach picture. Picture where you see a lot of people at the beach. What page is that?
Yeah. 22.
22? You have your book? Page 22. You see that picture there? They're having fun. So look forward to spring break, but be sure that you do well in this class so you can enjoy your spring break. Okay, so here it is. The key to using the concept of opportunity cost correctly lies in recognizing precisely what taking a given action will prevent you from doing. If you want to go to your cousin's wedding, you can't go to Fort Lauderdale because you used the coupon already. Once. You can only use it once. And if you go to Fort Lauderdale, there's a chance that with the calculation we have that you just simply cannot go to your cousin's wedding. You have to fork out that additional 400. Okay, so the pitfall is, the moral of that whole example is that do not forget opportunity cost. How many of you drive very far to go see a doctor instead of just walk across the campus to go to health services? Okay, how long do you drive to get to a doctor? 50 minutes?
An hour 45.
An hour 45 minutes?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's pretty far. Where is that?
It's in Raleigh.
Okay. Very good. Now, if you have to drive that far, right, there is an opportunity cost involved. Name me all the opportunity costs. Come on. Yes, very good. Time taken. It's not free, you know, like, oops, you translate suddenly in the doctor's office. You have to drive there. It takes how long? Like 2 hours. Okay, an hour 45 minutes.
Got it.
And you heard that term, time is money. So yeah. So in other words, in real life, we cannot ignore the opportunity cost because it's this trade-off. If you're here, you can't be in another place. Some of you wish you could be earning some money somewhere, but you gotta get your degree. Why?
To make more money.
To make more money, so you won't be paid minimum wages. Okay, very good. Let's see. Looks a little bit different. Okay, got it. Now, the next two pitfall, the next one is the sunk cost. You heard about the term sunk. The sunken ship, for example, if you watch Titanic. Right? In that last moment, everybody is trying to scramble to survive before the ship sinks. But once it is sunk, that's it. It's not recoverable. So, sunk cost is defined as a cost that's beyond recovery at the moment a decision must be made. So when you make that decision that sunk cost is, you don't take that into consideration because it is sunk. Example would be, well, before we look at example, let's read this. The only costs that should influence a decision about whether to take an action are those that we can avoid by not taking the action. That typically is a marginal cost or your average cost, so-called, but not your sunk cost. Let's look at example. How many of you have gone to all-you-can-eat buffet? Raise your hand. Do you like it? How do you like it? And why? You could go back as many times as you wish, right? That's the idea behind it. So how many helpings can you do? About 5? No, that's too much? Oh, you're athlete? Yeah, that's different. You watch what you eat, maybe. No, you don't? How many helpings do you have?
About 3.
About 3, yeah. That's about average. Some people do 2. Some people do 5. Depending on how big, you know. So you don't count that a helping. That's just a dessert. I guess we count this. Dessert included. Okay, so now the assumption is the price for all-you-can-eat buffet is $5. So when you walk in, they charge you $5, assuming that there's not a back door you could escape. Some people do that, you know. I mean, like they come in and then they eat and then they escape through the back door before they pay. So this is a case when you walk in, they charge you $5. Just to make sure if you disappear, you know, it doesn't matter. We save all those helpings. Now there are 20 people who are lucky. They get to be paid. When they walk in, the owners say, hey, congratulations, it's on the house for you today. How many of you like that? No, I think I do. Okay, so that means it's free for you, okay? So 20 of you randomly selected guests will get lunch on the house. Free. Save that $5. Okay, now we ask this important question here at the bottom. If all the diners are rational, remember what is rational? Anybody? What is rational? Yes, Desha.
A person with a positive economic surplus.
Very good. The one who has a positive economic surplus from last class. If all the diners are rational, will there be any difference in the average quantity of the food consumed by those two groups? Now, everybody understands the two groups, right? One is the one that you have to pay $5. The other one is the one that's lucky. Free on the house. What do you think? How many of you say no difference at all? Raise your hands. It's okay. We'll come back to visit this. I just want a little bit of class participation. Get your blood circulated. Raise your hand if you think there's no difference. Okay, there's only one. Are you raising your hand or you just kind of like... You're not very active participants, isn't it? Come on, raise your hand. If it is wrong, it's fine. Okay, how many of you say there's no difference? Well, we've done that already. There's one. How many of you say there is a difference? Okay, very good. So more of you say there is a difference. Here's the answer. Yeah, here it is. After the first helping, all the diners are faced with, should we go back for another helping, true or no? That's your decision. We all ask that question. If you get stomachache at that point, please don't go back. Exit. If you get food poisoning, yes, get out as fast as you can. But anyway, so you are faced with that question. And we said that yes, if the marginal benefit is greater than, have I defined marginal benefit? I think I did, right? So if your marginal benefit is greater than, actually, or equal to marginal cost. So this is your cost benefit. Please write this down. What do we call this principle? 5-star. This is Hilton. Like a 5-star hotel, so we have 5 stars concept, and look for this 5-star because they're important. They will come out in the exam, definitely. So we say yes if the marginal benefit is greater than marginal cost. So when you're making a decision on the second helping, $5 is considered a sunk cost for those who paid, correct or not? Because once you come in, you pay that $5, it doesn't matter. You could go back as many times as you want. Okay, so the marginal cost is, it doesn't matter, we don't count at 5. It's the marginal cost that counts. Now, for the other group, it's the same. Yeah, if you go back second time, third time, because it's free. So the marginal cost is also the same for the second group. In fact, it's 0. Yeah, once you have paid for it. So for both groups, the extra, should underline that term, extra, or the marginal. Does everybody know that M stands for marginal? Okay, spelling out in English now. So I thought I may have introduced that already, but maybe not. So that's your marginal. So marginal, another word for that marginal is extra. And this is a very important concept as well. Yeah, 5-star. So in other words, hey, the extra cost of additional helping, marginal cost is 0 for both groups. Whether it has been paid $5, you paid $5 already, or somebody paid for you, it's free, that marginal cost is the same. And then we're assuming that since the marginal benefit or another helping should be the same on average for everybody, so there's no difference in food consumption. Now, the book goes into explaining a little bit about psychology, behavioral economics. If you want to read it, you could. But because this is economic class, I basically focus more on economics rather than psychology. Okay, so that's what it is. The last bit before we'll look at is the difference between the marginal concept versus average. Now, this one we have to do calculation. So what is that? Did you see that? Oh yeah, okay. So anyway, I hope you write this down. This is important. Okay. All right, so the next thing is we want to look at the marginal versus average. We're still in chapter 1. I'm moving to chapter 2 very soon. We'll be finishing this soon, and then I'll start chapter 2. Okay. Now, the next one is we will talk about, we will analyze, is there a difference between average and marginal? Yes, there is. Which one is more important in economics? I'm looking at you now. What do you think? It is the marginal that's important. Yes, not the average. Okay, we give an example now. We're going to do some calculation and pay attention to how we calculate this because this kind of question would appear on your test. Definitely. Similar question. Now we ask the question, should NASA expand the space shuttle program from 4 launches a year to 5 launches a year? How do you make that decision? You gotta have some numbers to work with. So we give you some number, we say, oh, the total benefits for the 4 launches is 24 billion. So if it's 24 billion, the average will be, you take 24 billion divided by 4, that gives you 6. Okay, so 6 billion per launch. So that's average. So the average benefit is 6 billion. And then total cost is given for the 4 launches, 20 billion. Again, the average cost will be, take the 20 billions divided by 4 to get 5 billion. Is everybody very familiar with that kind of calculation? Or is this the first time you see it? You know how to compute average, right? So if everybody in this class has $10, we have 25 students, how much would that be? 10 times 25, 250. 250 divided by 25 is 10. So that's the, no wait, 250 divided by, yes, 25, so that would be 10. So 10 would be the average. But if everybody not the same, some would have 20, some would have less than 5, like 3. The average is you take the lump sum of everybody, everybody have the amount dollars, and then you divide it by the number. Okay, so next, so here we are defining now marginal benefit and marginal cost for the first time. Let's look it up in the book here. Could I get a volunteer? Other than the one, okay, very good. You raise your hand before I say anything. I like that. Okay, would you read page, the definition for marginal benefit and marginal cost? I don't even see it. Where is it?
The average benefit?
It's on page 23 at the bottom right hand corner.
Page 23 at the bottom. Okay, did you find it?
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to read it? Go ahead and read it.
The increase in total benefit that results from carrying out one additional unit of an activity.
Okay, very good. At the bottom of page, is that 25?
23.
Okay, I think my page number is 2 pages off. See, I got the black and white one. I don't get the color one. They don't give Professor the color book. You know, we get the lousy one, the black and white. The cheap one. I know you wish you could have this, right? You pay less, but that's what I get, you know. Okay, so here it is. Marginal benefit is an increase in total benefit that results from carrying out one additional unit of an activity. We'll do examples so you know what it means. So now this is just a definition. Same thing with the marginal cost. What you have to pay attention is the word that's underlined. Okay, so for example, marginal cost is an increase in the total cost. Notice the word I use, total. That results from carrying out one additional unit of the activity. Let's look at examples so that becomes clear. So here are the columns, 4 columns. The first column shows you the number of launches. By the way, you can also see this in your book on page around 23. You see that same table. If you have your book, you can refer to it too. Okay. And total cost is given as if you have 0 launch, of course, hey, 0. You're not spending any money because you're not launching anything. Okay, if it is 1 launch, is 3 billion. And then as you can see, the more launches there are, the number goes up. Ooh, what happened? Can you see the bottom one? I don't know what happened. There's a 5 launches, 32, 4 launches, 20. Okay, so that was a number we used earlier. Remember that 20 for the total cost. So the average will be, how do I get the average? Anybody? I explained it earlier. So you got column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. How do I get column 3, for example? Anybody? Yes?
You divide your launches by your total cost.
Okay, very good. Well, no, the other way.
Sorry, cost by your launches.
Yes. So you divide you take column 2, divide by column 1 for every row. Understand what I mean? Example, 3 divided by 1 is 3. 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. 20 divided by 4 is 5. 32 divided by 5, use a calculator if you have to, is 6.4. Okay with that? Jaha, you okay? Very good. Very good. So let me give you a quiz and see. So if there are 6 launches and the cost is 48, how much is the average? No, stunned. Okay, you're not very good with verbal. Okay, I see. So if the number of launches is 6, if I write it down, you get it. The total cost is, say, 48. So what is the average cost?
8.
Yes? Raise your hand. Somebody, yes, Tara? That will be?
8. Isn't it 48 divided by 6?
Yes. 48 divided by 6 is 8. So that would be like this. Of course, this is in billion. This is not dollar billion. This is in billion, but you know, we just do it like that because it's easier. So that would be like that. $8 or 8 billion. Okay, you get it. Now, the last one is the star. This is what we ask you on the test. I'm dropping a hint now. Write it down. How do you calculate that last column? The last column is known as marginal cost. And in order to calculate marginal cost, I'm going to give you an equation. Marginal cost of the first unit is the total cost of 1 unit minus total cost of 0 unit. Marginal cost of the second unit is total cost of 2 units minus total cost of 1 unit. Okay, you get the picture. Somebody tell me marginal cost of the third unit will be total cost of 3 units minus total cost of the previous one, which is 2. Got it? And so on and so forth. Okay, let's plug in the value. So let's look at the first one. Marginal cost of the first. So how do we get 3 is because we take total cost of the first of 1 unit, which is 3, minus total cost of 0, which is 0. So we get 3. That's how we get that first 3. Notice that it's in between the 2 rows. It's not quite at row 1 or 2, but it's kind of like in between. Okay, how about this? Give me the number. What's total cost of 2? That would be? Oh, come on. What is it? 7. 7 minus the previous one, which is 3. So you get 4. So I hope you pay attention because this is going to be on your test. And then you look at it and say, how do I do it? How do I do it? So pay attention now, take notes, and then mark. This is going to be on your test. So how about this, the last one? If you don't understand it, raise your hand now. I will re-explain it. I do not mind. I just want you to understand, okay? So the marginal cost of the third unit will be, take the total cost of 3 units, which is 12, minus the total cost of when you have 2 units or 2 lunches. So it will be 12 minus 7, which is 5. Okay, very good. So we got 3, 4, 5. And then there are 2 more, okay? So how do we get, let's get volunteer, how do we get 12? Could somebody explain how we get 12? Yes, Mr. Hall, yes.
You did the TC5 minus the TC.
Very good, I like that. TC5 minus TC4, because that's your 5th unit. So in other words, marginal cost of the 5th unit, very good, thank you. Total cost of 5 unit minus total cost of 4. So TC5 is 32 and TC4 is 20, so therefore we get 12. Okay, I'm skipping 1, but I don't have to do all, so it's the same thing. So the other one you get 8 because you take 20 minus 12. Got it, everybody? Any questions at all at this point? You sure? Okay, I want to see that you could do this question on the test. I'm telling you it's on the test. I don't have to tell you. I don't know why. Sometimes I'm dropping hint to help students. But, okay, so you got 3, 4, 5, 12, and please write down this equation. This is important. I hope you write it down. So you got 3, 4, 5, 8, 12, and then so what's the question here? The question is, what is the optimal number of lunges? We haven't solved our problem yet. That's the problem. That's the question. You look at this, you scratch your head, is what do we do? Remember our cost-benefit principle? What does it say? Anybody remember that?
Marginal
I'm waiting. Yes.
The marginal benefit is greater than marginal cost.
Very good. Very good. And very good. And, okay, I want to know your name. What's your name?
Jimmy.
Jimmy, okay. Very good, Jimmy. I'm going to add to what you said. Marginal benefit greater than marginal cost or equal to marginal cost. Can remember what I wrote down earlier. In fact, it's the next slide, yeah, right there. That's the same thing you saw me wrote down earlier. That's very important. I know they say test, but it's the same thing, principle, okay? So come back to this. So this is the test we use to apply to that last column. And then we say, well, wait a minute, we don't have marginal benefit. Yes, that's right. But look, there's an assumption that say your marginal benefit, now we're giving it to you, what is MB? Is the average benefit. We're assuming it's the same. Remember we calculate the average benefit earlier to be 6 billion, right? Yeah. So we give it to you, we say, how about it? It's 6 billion. So now we got that. So let's apply it. And this is how you do it when you sit in front of that PC. 2 weeks from today, or is that 3 weeks? You're wondering, you're scratching your head, you say, oh, how do I do it? So remember this equation. Marginal benefit is greater than equal to marginal cost. And your marginal benefit is given as 6 billion. I'm just going to write 6 because we know we're dealing with billions. Excuse me. Okay, so you apply it. Is that does the first one meet the condition?
Yeah.
Yes, because $6 is greater than 3. What about second one?
Yes.
Yes. The third one? Yes, because 6 is greater than 5. What about the next one? Nope. So you go back. That's the answer. Okay, so if this one is not okay, you go back to the previous one. Don't go back so fast to the first one, you'll be wrong. It's the closest one, so 5 will be the answer, and then you count. First, second, third. So that's your third launches. So therefore, the optimal number of launches is?
3.
Very good, yes. So you could get the answer if I give you the process there. So that's the answer. A lot of time I'm not writing it down because I want you to think, I want you to take notes and write down. Okay, so remember how to do it. Next, I want to define 2 types of economic principle, which is on page, let's see what it is. You are very good at this. Tell me what page? 27 minus 2, page 25, I think, where you have on the sidebar, normative. Yes, would you like to read?
No. I
A
got a
question? Yes, please.
What if you said like it's gonna be the closest one, like 6, right? Remember on the 6, the average just was 6.
Yeah, but there is no 6, so then you get the closest one.
Then what if like one was 5 and one was like 7?
Oh, okay, if it is, then you pick 5. Now, if it is 6, you pick 6, because 6 is equal. You pick the highest number. The one that's closest to the number that you want. I'm not answering your question, I could see, yeah. Now, if it is 7, then no, because you don't meet the test.
Okay, yeah, okay.
But your question is good. What you meant to ask is, what if it is 6? Then you pick 6
Okay.
over 5, because 6 is also equal. That's closest, right? In fact, some people say equal, but then, and some people say greater, but I think you need both. Yeah, greater than or equal to marginal cost. Okay, very good question. Thank you for asking that question. Okay, 2 types of economics statement. The first one is known as normative. The second one is known as positive. Okay. Could I get volunteer to read that page 25 on the sidebar? There are 2 definitions. There are 2 types of statements in economics. One is normative, one is positive. Any volunteer with the book, page 25? How about Irasima, would you like to read it?
I can't find the on 25.
It's on
27.
27.
Oh, 26, okay. -1, yeah.
Which one again? Normative.
As they said, 26, page 26, yeah.
Which?
Oh, yeah, the definition for normative and the positive economics, yeah.
Normative economic principle, one that says how people should behave. The positive economic principle, one that predicts how people will behave.
Okay, you see the difference? One has value judgment. Should I or should I not? The other one does not have value judgment and say will. You predict, and this is more objective. Yeah, well, another way to look at it is this is a little bit more objective. This is a little bit more subjective. Okay, you hear that in a campaign a lot, presidential campaign. So be careful when you hear it, you will be able to tell the difference. Okay, normative economic principle would say, yeah, how people should behave. See the word should is underlined. It deals with appropriateness. Is this appropriate? Is this desirable? Should we have tax increase in this country or in this state? That's known as what we call normative. There's a little bit of value judgment involved. What ought to be, which one is better? Okay, now positive economic principle, on the other hand, on the contrary, one that predicts how people will behave. So this is very sure. For example, you make statements or predictions concerning economic behavior, and you answer questions such as, what is going to be the tax rate this year for the richest and the richest, like Donald Trump? Should we raise it to 50%? The highest now is 39.99%. What happened? Something really did happen. The market crashed. So, sure thing, but whereas the other one is what should, right? Remember, what ought to be, which one is better? So, for example, if you hear Obama say something like, oh yeah, we should help the poor. If we increase the tax, we could save the federal budget by X billions of dollars. Should, so that's considered as normative. But if he comes up with a figure, he asks the economists to go to the back room and calculate all the number and come back and say, according to the prediction, the economy would do 10 times better if we cut taxes by 2%, for example. So that's a little bit more sure. So make sure you know the difference between the two, and on the exam what we do is we give you statements, then you pick which one is which. Okay, so very quickly, this is the quick summary of what we covered in chapter 1. So we talk about economic concept like scarcity principle, that you don't have everything in the world, you don't have all the resources in the world in terms of time, capital, natural resources, your talents, for example. So then you have to make choices because there are limited resources out there. Then there's cost-benefit principle that we touch on a lot. There's the incentive principle also, we didn't talk about it. Learning economic through application. Now, you see that term a lot in the textbook, economic naturalisms. These authors of this book love to give example like that. Every time you see a picture or cartoon, in the book is talking about this economic naturalisms application. What it is, if we use the insight from economics to help make sense out of the observation from everyday life. And that's what economics is about. It's not just a whole bunch of theory graphs and all that. You can apply it. You walk out the door, you ask yourself, is it worth it to go to the cafeteria now? Without thinking, you're actually thinking economics. Did you know that? You're actually evaluating this, is marginal cost higher or less than marginal benefit? You know that if the marginal benefit of going to the cafeteria is higher, if you could assign values to it, then the marginal cost, then you go. By all of you, 25 of you being here today, I could say that the marginal benefit of coming to today's class is greater than the marginal cost. My face value, if we could quantify this number, although some of you might be griping and say, like, oh, that's not true. We just have to count. But never mind, that's besides the point. The economics deal with the numbers, the objective view. Okay, there's a question, for example, application. It says use cost-benefit principle to explain some patterns or events or behavior you have observed in your own environment. I still remember this one student. He's a political science student. I saw him in Foot Lion not long ago. And he was pushing this cart, you know, and it was also, I don't use a cart, I use my hands because whatever I could buy with my hands carry, that's all that I buy. So he saw me, he said, "Oh, Dr. Gan, I'm practicing my marginal cost versus marginal benefit now." He's about to make decision, pushing his cart along, you know, buying this and that. So that's what it is. Why do the keypad buttons on drive-up automatic ATM have braille dots? Everybody know what is that, right? That's for the blind people. Why do you think so? Well, we know that blind people cannot drive. Are they expecting a miracle to happen? So they make it now so that the blind people might be able to say da 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 da. They could drive up to the ATM. No, not because of that. Because there's such a thing called economies of scale. When you make all those keypad, it's easier to just go ahead and make it. Well, just like elevator, right? You see that too, you know. In case someday they have to make it for the blind, maybe in the ATM that's installed in the physical bank, you know. So they go ahead and make it because it's cheaper to make it now, rather than later on you see that there's a need, you have to add it on. That is harder. Anyway, that's in your book, you could read it, and I want to go on and do chapter 2 because otherwise next week will be very, very rushed. Okay, let's do chapter 2. Very quickly. If you still have time, I should make use of the time. Okay, chapter 2 has got something to do with trading. Okay, the other day, I remember here you mentioned that when I asked what is economics, and one of the answers was money and trading. This is a little bit about trading. And specifically, we want to deal with 2 concepts. One is comparative advantage, and the second one is absolute advantage. Okay, going back to visit the opportunity cost, we asked this question: should Joe Jamel write his own will? He's a very famous criminal lawyer. Okay. 284. I started to smile because the old list, he was like 195, so they updated it, so now he's behind, 284. On the 4th list of the 400 richest American with assets over $1 billion. You're not going to take time to read it. So anyway, the gist of asking this question is, should he prepare his own will? Well, we could actually, we do have time. Yeah, could I get a volunteer? Page 36, that's what it says there. You see that lawyer with nice suit? On page, is that 35 minus 36, where it says, exchange and opportunity cost, should Joe Jamel write his own will? Could I get a volunteer to read that part? Yes? People at the back, do you have book? How about Elias? I just simply call Elias. Oh yeah, that's you? Oh yeah, you could grab a book. Somebody could loan you a book. I'm sure, yeah. Yeah, go ahead and read that whole thing. If you don't want to, just read the two paragraph. I'll get someone else to read.
The bottom 2 paragraphs?
No, we start from beginning.
Yeah. Okay.
We can skip the bottom, but we have to start from beginning.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So it says, should Jamel or Joe Jamel, I don't know, write his own will?
Joe Jamel, known as a legal profession as the king of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe Jamel, known in the legal profession as the King of Torts, is the most renowned trial lawyer in American history. And at number 284 on the Forbes list of the 400 richest Americans, he is also one of the wealthiest, with net assets totaling more than $1 billion. But although Mr. Jamel devotes virtually all of his working hours to the high-profile litigation, he is also competent to perform a much broader range of legal services. Suppose, for example, that he could prepare his own will in 2 hours, only half as long as it would take any other attorney. Does that mean that Jamel should prepare his own will? On the strength of his talent as a litigator, Jamel earns many millions of dollars a year, which means the opportunity cost of any time he spends preparing his will would be several $1,000s per hour. Attorneys who specialize in property law typically earn far less than that amount. Jamail would have little difficulty engaging a competent property lawyer who could prepare his will for him for less than $800. So even though Jamail's considerable skills would enable him to perform this task more quickly than other attorneys, it would not be in his interest to prepare his own will.
Okay, very good. You read very well. Thank you very much for your participation. Now that points to this question. The answer lies in, we're not giving you the answer yet, but you will know the answer soon when we go to this whole analysis. The difference between these two kinds of advantages. One is called absolute advantage, and you could also see that at the sidebar, the definition, but I won't let you have you read it because it's up here. Okay, now the absolute advantage is when one person has this kind of advantage if he can perform a task faster than another person. Okay, how fast can you text? I know, give me a number. I'm very slow. I used to look at, the only one that I could do is like the doctor's appointment. They ask you like, are you coming? And then they just give you choices like yes or no. So I type Y. That's it. I used to be so primitive. That's the only thing I do. Until I discovered iPhone. And your life changed, you know how to do it a little bit better because this old phone is very hard to do it. Okay, so I assume most of you could text faster than I could. So you got comparative advantage over me. I swim about 30 laps in the swimming pool. Now some of you, because you're younger, and maybe in about 40 minutes to 50 minutes for 30 laps. Now some of you, well, all of you are younger than me, so you could swim faster than me, I'm sure, with the given same amount of time. So that's absolute advantage. Typing, same thing. Can anybody type above 80 words per minute? You can, okay, so you have some sort of absolute advantage in typing because you could type faster than the average person. Now, comparative advantage, on the other hand, is different. How different it is? Well, now when it comes to comparative advantage, which is the case of Joe Jamail, you have to look at opportunity cost. And in fact, you have to analyze it further to calculate the opportunity cost. And whatever opportunity cost that is lower, then you have the comparative advantage for the certain task. That is not so easy to explain unless we look at example. Let's go ahead and look at example. We got two ladies, Beth and Paula, two tasks. The first task is updating web pages. The second task is doing bicycle repairs. How interesting. And if you look at Beth, she can do the first task in 20 minutes, second task in 10 minutes, and Paula is a little bit slower in both tasks, 30 minutes, 30 minutes. So in this case, we could straight away say Beth has absolute advantage in updating web pages because she's faster than this. As well as absolute, I use the word absolute, advantage in in repairing bicycle because this number is lower than that than Paula. Okay, so that's what they say. Beth has absolute advantage over Paula in both tasks, but in terms of opportunity cost, which is we are going to calculate comparative advantage, and you have to calculate the opportunity cost. Okay, if you have your book, this is very important. I'm going to write down the equation, and then if you have your book, there's a correction to be made on one of the tables. Unless the book you bought, they have already corrected it. So let's write down very quickly. So this is talking about Beth only. Her opportunity cost of calculating web page. Okay, I'm just going to write it very quickly for you. In terms of the other activity, which is bike. So you want your answer to be in the other activity, which is bike repair. Okay, and then you have a fraction, something divided by something. So what it is that you would say loss in 10 minutes of bike repair versus gain in 20 minutes of web page upgrading. And if you do that, you take these two numbers, 10 and 20, 1/2, and you have simplified it, you have half a byte repeat. Okay, so how you do it, you say the opportunity cost of Beth upgrading web pages in terms of the byte repair, which will be your final answer. And if you know that your final answer is going to be byte repair, then byte repair has to go up here in the numerator. The other activity, web pages, has to be in the denominator. So basically what you lose is what you gain, because you cannot do both at the same time. So if you spend 10 minutes repairing the byte, if you want to spend 20 minutes in doing web page upgrading, your opportunity cost would be losing that 10 minutes of doing the byte repair. So I'm gonna write down the other one. So byte repair, please write this down. On the day of the test, if you remember, you remind me, I'll give you this equation. Only if you remind me. So the burden is on you. Loss in, so this is the other way, 20 minutes of WP, and this is gain in 10 minutes of, I hope you write this down, byte repair. And you want your final answer because you're looking at the opportunity cost of byte repair in terms of web pages. So your final answer is WP. So your WP, the alternative task should be up here, and the byte repair should be at the bottom. So if you go back to the other one, or look at your book again, because I can't flip back and forth, 10 minutes of byte repair, 20 minutes of web page. So sometimes students get mixed up between the two, so I just gave you the sort of like the logic or rationale of knowing how to do it. So if you're looking at opportunity cost of byte repair, that will be in terms of the other activity, alternative activity, which is web page upgrading. And if you do that, web page upgrading should always be on top. The other activity should always be at the bottom. This is like fraction, numerator, denominator. So 2 divided by 1, 20 divided by 1, so that's 2 web page upgrade. So tell me which number is lower. Half of 2. So this one is lower. Okay, so let's go back to the definition. It say that one person has comparative advantage over another if his opportunity cost performing a task is lower than the other person's opportunity cost. In other words, in this case, Beth would have the, here's the final answer. Beth would have the comparative advantage in upgrading a web page. Okay, so the answer is the one on top, which is web page upgrading. We don't look at what is in terms of whatever activity. Now you see this page 38, there should be a correction because what your textbook has is not right. Okay, the numbers is reversed, so please correct this. You can also access this is slide number 6 in your, if you look at your PowerPoint slide. So now we have already calculated this. The first row, half a bicycle repair and 2 web page updates from there. And then Paula one is very easy because remember Paula's numbers was 30 minutes, 30 minutes, right? So if you put in Paula's number, opportunity cost, you know that this will be 1 and 1, right? Because this will be 30, 30, 30 is the same. Because remember her number was 30 minutes versus 30 minutes. So that's how you get 1 and 1. So please copy this slide down. I'll give you time to copy. Beth's opportunity cost of web upgrading in terms of bicycle repair foregone is half, as high as Paula. So that's what we look at, because if you look at this, half versus 1. So this is a lower opportunity cost. So therefore, Beth has comparative, not absolute, because for comparative advantage, you have to take one step further to calculate the opportunity cost. So Beth has a comparative advantage at programming, which is web page upgrading. However, Paula would have the comparative advantage in bicycle repair. How would you know? Because you look at this column, this is bicycle repair 2 and 1. These numbers you see are the opportunity cost because one is lower than 2, so we say that, and one belongs to Paula. That Paula has comparative advantage in repairing the bicycle. Okay, well, I still have 2 minutes. Give it to me, yes. Everyone does best when each person or each country concentrates on the activity for which his or her opportunity cost is, please, the lowest. So that would be your comparative advantage. When you do trading, that's what we're talking about. I want to finish this slide. So what are some of the sources of comparative advantage? In terms of individual, Elias, you have absolute advantage in typing. You got some talent, and some of you have musical talent or athletic ability. Basketball, football, high jump or long jump or what have you, or running. Some of you may have more education. If you have a master's degree, you earn more. You have some comparative advantage over the person who sits right next to you. If you have some training or more experience, working experience, I'm referring to, then you have comparative advantage over the person who sits right next to you when it comes to job interview. On the national level, we talk about natural resources. Do we have diamond and gold in this country? No, South Africa does. So they have comparative advantages in these 2 precious metals. Culture, that's more like adoption of a language. For example, the English is very well, widely spoken all over the world. It's a business language, and people will want to learn English so that they could be ahead in the business world. Institution is talking about like U.S. has MIT, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, like that produce a lot of scholars, and it has the best educational institution in the world compared to other countries. So you can look at comparative advantage in terms of individual level or national level. Okay, I'll continue next Tuesday with chapter 2, and I will probably finish it and start chapter 2. Thank you for coming and have a good weekend. If you intend to drop the class, tomorrow is the last day, so by all means do it soon if that's your wish. Ooh, I forgot to read the note taking. I think I'll do it next class. Yeah.
I'm not
Yes.